So here is what I did. I've noticed a lot of people had a extra rotor laying around they could use. I don't really have one that I can afford being damaged. So this is my method of sizing the side seals. I manufactured this piece of plywood that perfectly follows the side seal line, like that. And then I put the hole in the corner that also exactly matches where that corner is. So I got a chance to use that jig that I made the other day to do my side seals, and I actually have rotor number 1. I've got all 6 side seals done. So I made this board, and then I labeled the seal, labeled it right here, number 1. That way that counts this side seal spring, and this corner seal. And then I can put each one where it goes, so I can give the rotor its last minute cleaning and then assemble those permanently. So like I said, I have the first rotor done. I'm going to work on the second rotor now, and I will go ahead and show you how that jig worked. So what I've been doing is I've been loading up the rotor with all of the stuff. So I'll get the side springs in, side seal springs in. I've been putting them in, just it helps spring the side seal back out as you're sizing it, so that it doesn't get stuck in there and get kind of difficult to get out if there's no spring pushing them back up. And so I can eliminate that just by putting the side seal springs in. Like so. There's those 3. And then I need 3 corner seals. I've been putting those in not quite lined up where they go, but just on a little bit of a turn, because then I can get them out with a screwdriver. And I have been, on the other one, I went ahead and put in the corner seal springs for the same reason I did the side seal springs. It just lifts up on the corner seal, makes it a little easier to get out. So I'm going ahead, and plus it also kind of lets me feel the clearance of the corner seal, make sure that it's got free up and down movement. I think it's a good idea just to check all of that out. And so then I go ahead and put these in, just slightly turned. See, like this one here, felt a little tight going in, but now when I push it down, it springs right back up. That lets me know that the clearance on that is good. We'll get the others in. Good to go with that one. This one's just a little bit tight. First one I've had that kind of feels like I might need to work on it just a little bit. So I'm going to shut the camera off and work with that, and then I will check back in and let you know what I found. Alright, so I went ahead and got it in there. I just kind of put a little pressure on and forced it in. Then I got under it with my screwdriver, lifted it up, and just kind of worked it up and down. and it freed it up now, so now it works just like the rest of them. So now on the side seal, if you take a look at these seals, everybody talks about how one end's fitted, one end's square. Well, it's very difficult to tell, especially since my vision isn't what it once was. But I figured out that the way I can tell is I can kind of get it in the light. One end is shiny where it's been milled off, and the other end is black. And that lets me know which end has already been milled. So then it doesn't matter which one you start on, but I kind of been putting them in and sliding them over against the corner seal, and then putting them in the rest of the way across to kind of see how much too long it is. So some of the people I've talked to and the videos I've watched, they say theirs are coming out as much as 1/8 of an inch too long. Mine definitely were not 1/8 of an inch too long. All of the others, by the time I ground the correct angle on to meet the other corner seal, they actually fit pretty good. So I'll go ahead and take the camera with me out to my jig on the drill press, and I will show you how I did that. All right, so I zoomed in on that. So here's my jig I built. Basically, I just made the arc like I showed you before. It was the exact same arc as the side seal groove. And then I put the hole on the end in the same spot as the corner seal. And I made sure I put it on this side of the drill press because the drill press rotates this direction. And that way, instead of trying to push my seal out away from my jig, it's pushing it toward the jig. And then I can turn this on, I can bring this in and just hold it flat up against my wood template. I made it short enough that I can hold on to the end. And then I can just move it in against my grinder. I got a 3/8 stone grinding bit. And then I'm kind of just moving it up and down a little bit. So, I mean, I haven't noticed it making any groove or mark in the stone. But I just want to make sure that that's staying flat, so I kind of move it up and down. And then you don't want to take too much, you want to be very careful. So we'll go ahead and take this in to the office and fit it and see how that works. So I went ahead and zoomed in a little closer, hopefully you can see, but and once I did a little bit of grinding on that end, I just fit it back in, kind of make sure it's going in the slot all the way across. Now this one will actually fit in at this point of grinding. I can feel it scraping hard on the corner seal on the right here. But what I do is the spring will help me so I can get it back out. But see, if I push it down on the ends, it kind of stays down. On this end, it kind of stays down. That's telling me that it's just a little bit too tight. So I'll run out and take just a little bit off. You know, you want to make sure you're careful. You don't want to take too much off. So just take your time and work slow so you don't make one too short. All right, so we're back after that. Just a little bit more grinding, just a touch. We'll put that in. So I elected to do this work in my office instead of the shop because then I only have to turn on the heater for the office area. So I brought in this table. I'm going to go ahead and get these all prepped to the point where the actual engine's ready to go together. Then since I'm the only one in the shop, I will only have to have the heater on in the office. So it makes it a little bit troublesome to walk out to their drill press and back, but make it so I don't have to run the heater all the time. So now I've put this back in. And this side here is working perfectly. This side over here is actually catching, and I don't think it has anything to do with the length of or the corner seal. I'm going to go ahead and I've got some 600 sandpaper here. Just clean off and make sure for my grinding But I don't have any kind of a burr on that end that might be catching it. The other option is it could be something, a burr in the groove for the side seal. I just want to make sure I have free operation, and I do everywhere except for this far right end. So I've got a little scraper that I use to clean these grooves. I'm going to go ahead and grab that and kind of work on this end and see if there's a burr or something in there that's causing it not to travel freely. I'm going to run and grab that. So I ran an old side seal down the sides of this groove and kind of made sure I put a little pressure on the sides, and there must have been some kind of a burr in there, but now as you can see it travels up and down just great. So that one now is ready to go. I'll go ahead and get the rest of them ready, and then we'll check back in. So I finished getting all of the side seal grooves cleaned up, got all the rest of the side seals fit, and I got all the stuff torn out, and it's sitting here numbered, ready to go back in. And then I got my rotors, cleaned them all up, set them on plastic so I don't have to worry about getting grease and oil all over. I will tell you, I pre-fit my apex seals. Both rotors had a spot or two where there was a catch in the apex seal where it wouldn't slide perfectly because something had been hit on a corner or something, made a little burr. So I cleaned those all up and made sure I had very smooth apex seal transition. Everybody I've talked to says the best way to do this is you get everything laid out on the table. There's my oil control rings. There's my Vaseline, my Hylamar, my gasket sealer, my 4 outer coolant seals, my compression inner seals. In the baggie there are the washers and seals for the main bolts that connects the motor together. There's my 4 seals that go down on the studs that hold that line everything up, my alignment studs. There's my oil gaskets. These are my seals that go in the oil control rings right there. These are the springs. I've got them sorted out by size and color. There's my 2 outer ones, white and blue, my 2 inner ones, white and blue. And so we are ready to go ahead and start assembling these rotors and getting them ready to go into the motor. Alright, so I went ahead and finished the front rotor in case there was any new things that come along. I would know it for the second one. So it's done. I've got the oil rings in and springs. I've got the side seals in, corner seals in, all ready to drop into the engine. So now on this next one, it's important to remember this is the rear rotor. So this is actually the part that goes to the front of the engine. So we're going to do the front first. The reason that's important to remember is because our oil control ring springs, the white one that has the white on it, has to be the spring that goes to the front of the rotor. So you'll notice down in the hole here, there's little divots. There's 2 in each one on each side. It doesn't matter which one you use. But you drop the oil ring in and then line it up so that that little end of the spring that sticks down goes in that hole, and that should put the white mark on your spring up, just to let you know that it's in the right way. Now on the other end of that spring, the curl sticks up. The first one sticks down into the hole, the second one sticks up. So when we go to install this oil ring, it's important to remember that because there's a little notch that goes on that spring. So I did a bunch of reading, talking to people. This has those new oil seals in them that are supposed to be much better. And you'll notice online a lot of people are lubing them with Vaseline. These Vitron seals, when I got them, if you read the instructions, it specifically says to lube them with motor oil. And the reason is because the Vaseline can cause the rubber to expand, and then it makes it very, very hard to get into the rotor. And so if you use motor oil, it helps with that a lot. So this first one kind of goes on the inside of this oil control ring, which can be just a little bit tricky getting it in there. Once it's in, it stays really good. It's getting it in there that can kind of be the trick. All right, that one is now in there. To make it easier to install, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I got plenty of oil on the inside of this O-ring, because that's the part that grips and makes it harder to put in. Now, it also specifically said in my instructions to put in the outer one first, and the reason being is because it actually presses down in further. So if we put the inside one in first, then it blocks us from really being able to press on this one. Now this other part here is a little bit tricky in the fact that this little notch can be kind of hard to see when you're setting this down in there. So get it where you can get it in the light and line up this little notch. Goes down like that, right over that ear that sticks up on that spring. Now I've noticed the easiest way to put these in is you just kind of get them started. You kind of just go around like you would a tire, and you just kind of press down on it. Once you get about half of it on, put a board on here and push it down. Like that, and it just will snap right on. Then you don't have to fight them. I hear a lot of people, this is one of the things they cuss the most, and then you should make sure when you put it should push down, but it should spring back up on that spring. So that's the outer one in. Then we'll go ahead and do the inner one. And since this is the front of the rotor, it will also be a white spring, and we put the little divot on the spring right in that little dimple. Whoops, the rest of the spring isn't in the hole, so make sure it's all down in there, ready to go. And we're still in the dimple, so that's ready to go. So now this is the inner control ring, and the inner O-ring. So we'll go ahead and oil it up good. Like that. And when you put these on, it's important not to roll and twist it. Make sure you kind of pull on it and pull it onto the ring rather than roll it on so it gets all twisted up. Okay, this one's pretty oily. I think we're good to go. So we don't need to oil it again. I'm going to spin this around again so I can get a good look at the thing. Make sure it's in the dimple. Find the little notch in the spring, which is right there, in the oil control ring, I mean. And then put it right over that little barb on the other spring. This one's much easier to get in, but you kind of just use the same method that you used on the first one. There again, not quite on there. we go. The O-ring was sticking out just a fraction, was holding it up from pushing in. But it's in right now. Now I will give you a couple of warnings. When I put the side seals and springs and corner seals and everything in the last one, the very first one I did, I got excited and dropped the corner seal in without the spring. Don't do that. It was actually quite a project to get it out. Then I just start on number 12. Number 12 is marked right here on my rotor. Drop the corner spring in. Put the corner spring in and make the corner seat in. And this is the front side, so it's going to go in first. So we won't put the corner seal on the other side until we put the apex seal in. But make sure you line it up so the apex seal will go in. Make sure it's the spring and everything's working just fine. Then this one right here is number 10. So I can grab the spring from number 10, drop it in. I'm using this screwdriver just to make sure that the spring is lining up the spring is lined up with the groove. Again, this is number 10 for the apex seal, so that when I go to slide it in, the spring is clear. And there again, make sure it's just springing up and down like it should. And the last one here on this side of the rotor is number 11. We'll drop it in, just like that. Now, number 11 corner seal. Drop it in, lined up with the apex seal slot. And there again, make sure it's springing in and out. We're good to go. So there's all of the corner seals. Now, I can start with number 12 again. I'll go ahead and put number 12 side seal spring in. Make sure it's down in the hole. Number 12 side seal. These should drop right in and work perfect since we've already got them all sized, just like that. And make sure it's down, going in and springing back up just like it should. That one feels great. We'll go on to number 11. Number 11 is right here on this side. Drop that side seal spring in. Number 11 side seal right here. And there it goes into its hole, its groove, and it's springing up and down just like it should. So now number 10, go ahead and get it in there. And then the side seal. Now, after you've got that in, we're going to use some Vaseline. So you do use Vaseline here. Basically what we're using it for, it's going to be a lubricant, but for the most part it's a glue. We're wanting to glue these side seals and corner seals in so they don't move. And so I just make sure that there's a good full bead down each side of the side seals. So no matter what, it's glued in there. When I go to drop the rotor in, it doesn't fall out and either me not notice it and mess up my whole engine, or me notice it and still have to pull things apart. Just better to go ahead and get that one kind of popped out, so make sure they're down where they go. I know a lot of people say get a whole big tub of Vaseline because you're going to use a ton of it, but when I actually have done the research and read from some professionals that do it, they don't use it some of the places that other people are. So I just grabbed a regular tub. Not that it's a big expense, but Don't need it laying around. Kind of making sure it's in the groove as we go. I found on the last one that if I kind of run my finger along it, get the extra off of the top, when I set this down on the plastic, which I'm going to have to do, it doesn't seem to stick down and mess up my work quite as much. Corner seals are still lined up, so we're good to go there. So now that side of the rotor is all done. Now I can flip over, put this side down, and do this side. It's the same thing. Here's number 9. So we'll go to corresponding number 9. I'm not sure that it matters on the springs. It's just a good idea to get everything back to how you trial fit it. There's number 9 corner spring, in and springing just like it should. Number 8 is down here. Drop in the corner spring, line it up, make sure it's not in the way of the apex. Number 8, and drop number 8 in. It's springing just like it should, good shape there. Number 7, not that it matters, my favorite number. Happens to be the last one on this side, so the last corner spring makes it kind of nice. Number 7's in. Number 7 corner seal. I elected to go with Mazda factory corner seals instead of solid seals or anything like that. Now we can go ahead and put the side seals in. So this is number 9. Once again, I don't know if these springs matter for sure. You know, you could probably mix them up, wouldn't make any difference at all. I just like to put everything back how I had it designed. Number 9 side seal. There we go, in the hole. Number 8. In the hole. Number 8 side seal. In the hole. And I forgot a very important part, so hopefully that doesn't mess us up, because it told me specifically in the instructions to do these oil rings last. To do them first. I guess we might find out here why it told me to do that. We'll go ahead and get number 7 in here, it's the last one. I've also heard from several builders, and they say it's really nice to lay everything out. You'll see I've got every part that goes in it laid out here in front of me, because then I can look, and if I have stuff sitting around, that's stuff that should go in the motor, and so it tells me that I forgot a step. We'll oil up this oil ring. My last inner one, they're the hardest ones. You can kind of fight you a little bit. Alright, make sure it's pressed in all the way around. Good coat of oil on it, just like that. And we'll set it aside. And then this is the back of the motor. That's why the the gear that engages the stationary gear is there. Blue side up. Find the divot, which is right there. Whoops. started it in the wrong spot. It won't fit that way, so it kind of gives you a reminder that, hey, dummy, you're doing something wrong. Okay, so that end right there is down in the divot. Take this oil ring here, find a little nick. So the nick goes down, and we want to line it up right over the top of that end of that spring. Kind of lost track of it. Let me make sure we're good. We're good. If I kind of push that side down first, to make sure we're started off in the right direction. And just kind of work your way around. Get a seat in a tire. And then put your board on there. There we go. You can see why they tell you to do that before the side seals are in. You can feel it making me have to put extra pressure to push those down as well. So that's on. You can feel it pushing down and springing up just like it should. So it looks like we, at least for that one, got away with doing the side seals first. Go ahead and get this second one in. Get it on the control ring. We'll tell you that I was getting a price of $400 for these control rings, and I did a little searching online and I found a company called Amayama, I think it was, and they shipped them to me from Japan. It took about a week to get them here, but I think they were $225 instead of the like $405 that everybody else was asking. So definitely worth it. All right, now here again, blew up. Get my little dimple in there, and I've got actually going to use this one right here. There's another little dimple over here, and then I don't have to turn the rotor around so I can see to put the top ring in. That's seated in the hole now. Now I can find the other end that sticks up. Find my control mark, which is right there. There we go. Drop it over the top. There again, it looks like my O-ring over here chasing out just a bit. We don't want to pinch it or anything. So as I kind of push down on that, I'm going to just hold it in with the tip of this little screwdriver. Make sure that it's down in and going where it should. There we go. On and spring it up like it should. So there we go. Make sure the side seal stayed in. Blow them in with a little Vaseline. Like I say, there's no problem with a bunch of extra Vaseline being in the engine. The last thing you want for these to fall off, so make sure you goop it in there and fill that whole groove like a bead of caulk at least down each one of those side seals. And make sure you hit the corner seal also so it doesn't spin. It'll help keep it from spinning. It'll help keep it from falling out. This particular side of the rotor doesn't have to be put down, so probably wouldn't have a problem on it. But it's just a good idea to go ahead and glue them all in and give it some extra lubrication. Until the oil gets pumping in there and set, break-in period. And the more lubrication you have, the better off you'll be. So they gave me the Hylamar in the kit, and I noticed that people online doing things all a little bit different. My kit says that where you use the Hylamar is on the O-rings that seal, that are being used for a gasket, like the main exhaust one and the coolant O-ring, because it kind of helps those seal. And then just be careful when you stand this one up. Make sure that all of your side seals stay in place. I'm going ahead and just cleaning up the silicone, making sure it's back in where it's supposed to be, especially on this side of this one, because this is the side that's going to be dropped down, be upside down. We don't want to take any chances with that falling out, so I'm just going to go ahead and redo my areas here where the plastic stuck to it. From now on, I don't have to lay it down flat on the plastic, so I won't have it messing up my system. But yeah, this actually was worse than the first one. The first one, most of my silicone stayed there, and I just kind of smoothed it with my finger. On this particular one, a lot of it has coming off, stuck down on the plastic. I got the plastic here just because I didn't want to goop up my table and make it so I have to clean that all up. Anyway, there we go. So that one's ready too. So now both of the rotors are 100% ready to go into the motor, which I don't have time to do. Definitely don't want to feel pressed, so that'll be my next project. I'm going to go ahead and cover these with plastic to make sure they stay clean, no dust gets on them. And that's the hardest part of the motor assembly done. Right there is the rotors. So yeah, just check in with my my project. I'd love to have you follow along. Any comments you have or suggestions along the way, I sure appreciate. So feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow along with my project, and appreciate any input you might have. So till next time, we'll see you later.